I don't wanna fall in love. I just wanna have some fun, yeah. I don't wanna fall in love. I just wanna have some fun. I don't wanna fall in love, 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 fall in love. I don't wanna fall in love. I don't wanna fall in love. I don't wanna fall in love. I just wanna have some fun, yeah. I don't wanna fall in love. I just wanna have some fun. I don't wanna fall in love. I just wanna have some fun, yeah. I don't wanna fall in love, 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 fall in love. I don't wanna fall in love.
Hey, what's up YouTube? So right here you're gonna see this Int Stacker, and this was the Int Stacker before I made all the changes. 16k energy shield and a pile of trash. Now this is what happens when you go full DPS. You have no recovery on your build. You have no you have no max res at all, and this is what the majority of Int Stackers actually look like on PoE Ninja, especially if you're using the 12 link weapon. And man, this guy is just getting farmed, like hard farmed, right? And yeah, it's kind of a meme at this point. 16k energy shield, 16 mirrors worth of gear, 30,000 exalts, and you can't even do anything because you literally have not enough recovery. You can't tank anything. You actually can't do damage. I can't do damage. I'm running around, and bam, the squid tentacle just one shot my guy. At this point, I'm pretty discouraged. But as you saw earlier in the highlights, everything changed. But how exactly did I change it? How did I flip the narrative from being a trash can into a steel trash can? And look at this thing. This is what happens when you don't have that much armor. You don't have any max res, since most of Eater of Worlds damage is lightning. And you can see here, you can't actually do damage. You can have a 12 link wand, you can have a 20 link wand. And if you have 500 mil DPS, and this character is around 250 mil DPS, you just can't actually stand there and attack because guess what? You're just getting farmed. And let's go see how we actually fixed it and how we made the character look like how it used to at the beginning of the highlights. So as you can see here, transforming my squishy, my 16 mirror Int Stacker. Right? That's kind of a little bit of a typo, but it's okay. But as you see here, Aegis Aurora, a melting of the flesh, you know it's going to be a good time. So, problem. First off, the character has 16k energy shield. It can get up to 18k, 20k. But the problem is, character has no actual defenses. You have around 7k armor. You can have 30k armor maybe, but 30k armor is not enough for the character. You have no suppression. You have no maximum resistance. And maximum resistance is the main thing here. If you don't have max res and you don't have spell suppression, your character is dead in any Uber boss fight. There's no way you're surviving the Uber boss fights. Maybe if you're running them white and you have like 500 mil to a billion DPS, you can instantly one-shot the boss. But in a lot of cases, that's just not going to be the case. If you ever roll any of your Uber invitations and you get any HP mods, you get any damage mods on it, and you try to do like 200 quant invitations, and let me tell you something. The 200 quant invitations ain't worth doing because it's just all a gigabait. So if we look at here, Height of the Hubris, this makes us to 100% increased effective modifiers. And it should give you a lot more drops, right? You think 200% quantity actually does something, but all 200% quantity does is gives you more chance to drop the Embers and the Forbidden Jewels. So there is not that much incentive to do the Uber boss fights on hard mods, but you just want to be able to have your character say you can do the hard mods, right? And do a high quant variant. But all the boss fights you saw were around 200% quant for this build. Now, the biggest problem with the build is that you can't really recover your energy shield that well outside of discipline life gain on hit. And discipline life gain on hit is a slippery slope, right? Because in order to use discipline life gain on hit, you have to be tanky enough to just sit there and be able to tank hits. And the Int Stacker just doesn't have any defenses to be able to sit there and gain back your ES with discipline life gain on hit Watcher's Eye without any sort of layered defenses. It doesn't matter if you have 17k, you have 18k ES. Without layered defenses, your character has less effective HP than literally like a Lightning Strike Berserker or Raider or Champion with like 4k HP. And that's just a sad fact of how people build their characters. And that's why there's so many characters that just completely fail because they don't actually utilize all the defenses that Chris has given us. And by defenses, I mean Aegis Aurora and Melding or Transcendence. And this is more of a new thing in the sense that the game is a lot harder now in terms of Uber boss fights and how much damage you take. You can't really one-phase the boss anymore like before. Like the previous Searing Exarch at Eater of Worlds, you can literally just one-shot the boss. But now that you can roll it and it has the mod 70% less damage taken, if you take a reduced crit, monster life, enfeeble, and resist, there's no way even at 250 to like 500 million DPS you can actually one-shot the boss before it does a mandatory phase. And 250 mil DPS, 500 mil is just not enough DPS in today's world. Unless you're playing Cast on Depth Discharge. Cast on Depth Discharge, I think, is one of the few builds, or only build, that can actually do all mods and not have any significant issues because its damage is just so absurd because you have a 300% more damage multiplier. Now, you might be wondering what is actually the solution for this character, and the solution for this character is to utilize one of the most broken mechanics known today, and that is Melding of the Flesh and Aegis Aurora. So you can see here, this is the profile now that I changed up. The damage is a lot lower, it's at like 80 mil or so, but the fact of the matter is that the damage in reality is so much higher because you can actually finally attack the boss instead of having to run around like a maniac. And you can actually have recovery and you won't die instantly. But the biggest thing is because the HP pool is so high, so if you see here, the HP ES pool is 13,000. Because the ES pool is so high, any amount of layered defenses will go a long way to making the character feel near immortal. You can run Glancing Blows, Tempest Shield, and Basalt Flask to reach 100k armor instead of like 30k or 7k or whatever you want to call it. But basically, right here, you can see that we have around 108k armor. And the reason we can get maximum block is we take this one block cluster over here. So right here, this gives you 8% chance to block spell damage, and then here's a little bit more chance to block attack damage per 5% block on the shield. And this actually synergizes super well with Aegis Aurora because Aegis Aurora is actually a 32% block shield. And Glancing Blows makes it double, and then we actually run Tempest Shield, and Tempest Shield with Divergent gives us 27% chance to block. So if you had taken this node over here, then we're at 75% chance to block and spell block. So that allows us to get pretty much immortality with the Defiance banner in and more aura effect. We're able to get 100k armor, which is pretty much what aura stackers generally have. Now, if you think about it, aura stackers have 100k armor and they have a bunch of evasion, right? They don't have the Aegis Aurora block recovery, but they have the evasion, so they don't really get hit. And then they have 90 res, right? For elemental damage, they don't have spell suppression, so they have pretty much the same tankiness as this build. But the difference is that this build has 13k energy shield, and an aura stacker has 4 to 5k HP. Now, if you're a champion, you do have 20% fortify on top. So you see here, this build is incredibly tanky. It's pretty much on par with the aura stacker in terms of tankiness. Now, you can tank the Cyrus Slam, as you can see. I tanked the Maven Brain Slam, and you can pretty much just tank everything you want. Only thing you can't tank is probably the Uber Invitations with some really messed up mods. If you have like triple damage on it with the Height of Hubris, you can't tank it. That's just how it is. The character does end up with 90 res, 100k armor, 75% block and spell block, and you actually get great recovery with Aegis Aurora. If you run a life regen Mage Blood Flash, you can actually get up to like, I think 2,000 plus regen, which is pretty nuts. Now, this is probably the thing that a lot of people always ask me, and is should you go to 12-link wand? And I don't think that 12-link wand is the choice anymore. But it really depends on what type of content you're doing. If you're just trying to blast some maps, and it really depends on if you care about dying. If you don't care about dying and you just want to do as much damage as possible, you don't really want to do any uber bosses or any hard uber bosses, then yeah, just go to 12-link wand. If you want to make a PoE ninja character that's kind of shit at everything else in the game, yeah, go to 12-link wand. But I can tell you, by testing it out, without spell suppression, maximum resistances, or recovery, the character will struggle to do any uber content. You'll probably even struggle to do simulacrum. And Int Stacker is actually a build that benefits so much from Aegis Aurora and Melding because of its incredible energy shield pool. Probably one of the few builds that I play that actually feels immortal, and you can literally just AFK and everything. And this is probably a one-time thing. I don't think Int Stacker will be this strong in the future because you're not going to have a Fracture Global Defenses Vol Regalia. You're not going to have the Fracture Point Blank mod. You're not going to have these boots, which pretty much just double your damage, more or less. So it's going to be a pretty much once in a league build, I think, and I don't really think it will be the same anymore. And if you really want to go 12-link wand and you want to do maximum damage, I would go to accuracy stacking 12-link wand build because that build literally just destroys the traditional Int Stacker in terms of damage. Last league, someone actually got 1 billion power siphon, and I think even at this stage in the league, you would be hard pressed to reach like 300 to 400 mil on PoE Ninja. But overall, even though the DPS is like a third of the PoE Ninja Warrior, like 80 mil instead of 200 mil, the character is a lot more fun to play, and it really illustrates the importance of uptime. Like you saw here, this was a disaster. Like the character was just getting clapped, right? Like there's nothing to really say about it. Like you just can't do anything. And it's actually just sad to watch, right? But that's basically why uptime is so important. And this is why Stormbrand is such a good bossing skill. Because Stormbrand, you can run around, you can do damage, and it's always up. You're always attacking. Righteous Fire, same exact thing. You're always attacking. The Fire Trap Burning Ground is always on the ground while you're moving around. And that's why the mechanics of skills are so important. That's why bow builds, wanders are generally not the best, especially if you go full class cannon. Unless your damage is that high and you're not doing uber boss fights or really hard content, you will die. There's a reason why bow builds don't excel in Simulacrum without like mega investment, and they are just always squishy. And it really discourages glass cannons now due to unavoidable damage. It's not a metal cannon anymore. You can't just do infinite damage and one-shot all the bosses unless you're cast on Depth Discharge. And I do think that with how broken Aegis and Melding is and its ability to get you 90 res while also giving you immortality to small hits and great recovery. If you can use a shield, it's probably a mistake not to go Aegis of Melding. There's another option with Transcendence and Fizz Conversion that I think is actually even tankier. But it seems like the name of the game, even in softcore trade at this point, is to make a tanky character if you care about making a well-rounded guy. If you're doing magic finding, of course, then you can depend on Headhunter for your defenses. And it really just depends on what you want to do. But I do think the way to play Int Stacker, if you want to make a well-rounded character, is to definitely go Aegis and Melding and really experience what it's like to be a true immortal god. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors, exalts, and mage bloods than me. And see you next time. Bye.